Hey everybody, I have done 2 videos already this evening with the toys in your April Science Saturday bag, and I've got 2 more to go. So I've been working on these and you're going to watch them when you get a chance. The toy that we're going to work with this class or this video is your energy tube. Okay, so once you take it out of your container, we're going to talk about what is causes this thing to work. And then that will be 3 of the 4 toys that I have done videos for. And then I've got 1 more to work on, and they'll all be posted on the YouTube page and our YouTube channel, I guess. And then you also have a kit in your bag. If you have not watched another video yet, you have a kit in your bag, and it is probably some kind of kiwi kit. And you can build that on your own. I'm going to try to add the videos for things that we haven't uploaded yet to the YouTube channel so that you've got a reference to work with. But when you're finished working with and building from that kit, then we want you to send a picture to one of your coordinators so that you can get credit for Science Saturday. Okay. All right. So we're working with an energy tube. And it is just a plastic tube. It looks like it's got some metallic silver tape on each of the ends, and it's got 2 plastic caps on the end of it. And then it looks like it's got some, it almost looks like Christmas wire, but it's actually some wire with an LED light attached to the end of it. And so we're going to look to see what is going on with this. Now, if you look at one end of the tube, let's see if I can get it. I don't know that I can get it so you can see it. Let's see. It's kind of hard. Right here at the end of the tube, what you're looking for is the tube that's got the metal on the end of it. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So it looks like there's some resistors in there. It looks like maybe there's almost something that looks like a breadboard, you know, like we have done with some of the computer components. It looks like maybe there's a resistor in there. And you can see things are all kind of soldered together in there. And so it looks like it's electricity. Okay. So we're looking at a circuit, and nothing is happening with this tube while I am holding it by the plastic part. And so that tells us that this is an open circuit, okay? Because if this were a closed circuit, lights would be flashing, you know, it might be vibrating, something else might be happening to it, okay? So it looks like we've got an open circuit. Well, if I want those lights to light up, I got to figure out a way to close the circuit. So you remember we have talked about circuits off and on for the last couple of years, and circuits have to be closed. That is, they have to be a continuous loop for anything to happen in terms of that electrical current. Well, electrical current is a flow of electrons. And so as we want those electrons to flow through and make connections and close that loop, we got to figure out where those electrons come from. So I'm going to share my screen so that I can well, I can't see it. If I can't see it, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so that you can see with the video camera what I am doing. So you're back to looking at the side of my head again. All right, so here we've got this screen, and I just touched something and heard a little bit of noise. I want you to just, either end, it doesn't matter, just hold that in one hand and wrap your hand around what looks like that silver tape. And nothing is happening. Well, do the same thing with the other hand and the other end of tape, and nothing is happening. Okay, so you're full of electrons. I don't know if you know that or not, but you are. You are full of electrons. And so we've got plenty of electrons to spare to give to this circuit, but obviously one hand is not enough. Okay, our circuit is still open. And so if you want anything to happen to this, we're going to have to close the circuit. You need a closed loop. So I'm going to take my other hand And there we go. And when you look at your lights shining with your energy tube, you should see a green, a red, and a blue or LED light. Well, you can hardly see that with the lights in my camera, okay? So bring it back over here, put it up there. You can see a little bit of that light. This one is my blue light. My green light is down there at the bottom, and my red light's over here. And you can see the reflection of it, I think, up here on the tube, but you're not really seeing a whole lot of that color translating, okay? The other thing that I hope you are noticing is that obnoxious sound. The sound is on this end, okay? Obnoxious, okay? But what's happening is that we're creating enough flow of electrons in there to close that circuit and light up those lights and generate that sound. Well, you know, you've looked at this already. If you try to touch this by the two ends, nothing happens. If you hold it with both hands with the plastic part, nothing happens. If you hold one and wrap your hand around one of those metal pieces of tape and touch the plastic end of your tube with the other hand, no matter how many fingers you put on the end of that tube, nothing's going to happen. And so that should tell you a couple of things. First thing that it should tell you is that that aluminum or whatever kind of metal tape that is a conductor. And so we have talked about in one of our other videos tonight when we were talking about our centripetal spinner, that those centripetal spinners were coated with a thin layer of aluminum. Aluminum is a metal, and metals have some really specific characteristics. One of their characteristics is that they're shiny, they have luster. And so you can see that those metals, that metal tape is shiny. Another thing that we know about metals is that they're malleable, and I've got a perfect example of that for you, and that's my paperclip. Malleable means they can be easily molded, they can be bent and shaped. And so I can take my paperclip and make whatever shape I want to make. I don't know what this is. It's kind of like I don't know what it is. Okay, it's malleable. The big important thing about metals is that they conduct electricity very well. And so we've got the metal tape. Well, if we touch the metal tape, then we've got electricity being conducted. Our LEDs light up and our obnoxious sound is generated. Well, what's happening? So when you close the circuit, you have to have electrons available to flow, okay? And so when we directly touch that tape, we've got electrons in our body that can be transferred between our aluminum tape and our skin. And the reason that you are like that is because your body is filled with electrolytes, and electrolytes are nothing more than ionic salts for those of you who are in chemistry or have had chemistry. Ionic salts, when they are in solution, when they're dissolved in water, or when they have melted and they are now liquid instead of a solid, they will also conduct electricity. And so you are filled with electrolytes. Not only are you filled with them, but as fluids evaporate from your body through your skin, those electrolytes get left on your skin as well. And so any type of moisture that you have available, those electrolytes on your surface of your skin will allow those electrons to flow with your metal tape, okay? Same reason you don't want to be in the lake or the swimming pool during a lightning storm. All those electrolytes in your body and the electrolytes in the water make really good conductors of electricity. And so if that lightning strikes, you can get electrocuted, okay? But if you have an insulator between you and the lightning strike, like the rubber tires on a car, it's safe to be in a car during the lightning storm because you've got rubber tires between you and the ground. And so those are insulators, okay? So I can touch one of my metal tapes with one hand, and I can pick up something that is an insulator, and that could be one of a whole lot of things. Just use the sleeve of my sweater. Nothing's happening. Use my world stress ball. Nothing's happening. I can use our wooden inverting top from our bag. Nothing is happening. I'm not conducting electricity. However, I pick up the keys that are laying on my desk. Those keys are metal, and so they conduct electricity very well. And so the electrons are flowing through my body, through the keys, to the tape, down the cords, to the other tape, and back into my body, and I've closed the circuit, okay? That paper clip that is also metal, and so it will also conduct electricity. So I'll put that metal paper clip. And what happens if I use 2 paper clips or 10 paper clips or a great big long metal stick? Well, those also conduct electricity. And the tough thing about being here on video is that we can't try a really good experiment, which would be to, let's have 2 different people hold one end of the energy tube, and then put their hands together so that they're touching each other. And will that conduct electricity? And if it works with 2 people, what happens if we put a third person in who's a connector between those 2 people? And then how long a chain of people can we make and still make this light up? And so that's something that you can try with the people around you. Now, one of the things I've been experimenting with, not really experimenting, I can't say that, it's mostly just me playing, but it's really interesting to me is if I change the amount of contacts that I have with the metal, can I change how much electricity is flowing through there? And so I have a little bit of metal touching both of those metal tapes, but not much is happening. And it's because I don't have as much contact. Hear how that sound's changed? I don't have quite as much. I don't have quite as much contact. And so you don't hear quite as much noise. I was playing with it earlier this week, and I was able to not get the lights to light up quite so well. So I take the very corner of my ruler and take my tip of my finger. I'm not getting a whole lot of contact there. And so you can see that as I adjust my touch, I can really affect how much that's happening. Take that metal stick there, If I take that ruler and lay that ruler again flat against there. And so it's not necessarily so much that I have a lot of contact on this side, it's that I'm really reducing the amount of contact I have on the other side. And you see, I'm just barely, then if I wrap my hand around that again, then I'm back to really conducting that electricity. Okay, so this is probably the simplest of the tools or of the toys in your bag to describe this week, to explain. And I think that's probably because we've spent so much time talking about circuits throughout this year as we've built last year and this year. Let's see, we've built a speaker, and we built that lantern at Christmas. We have done the geometric laser array. We've built your headphones. I feel like there's a couple of other things that we've done that have had some electricity associated with them, but I don't see them in my office where I'm at the angle that I'm sitting from. But we've talked about those circuits a lot. Oh yeah, I know what we've done. We did that electroluminescent light last month. And so all of those things involve those circuits. And you know that if we don't turn the switch on and connect those two pieces of metal in that switch, we're not going to have those closed circuits, and you're not going to see the light or hear the sound or look at the patterns of the laser light, because the discs won't spin. Okay, so there's that the electrical circuits that we've been looking at, for the most part, are fairly straightforward. They're not particularly complicated circuits. I think the toughest one that we have built was the one that we built for your speaker, where we had to put all of those capacitors and resistors in on the breadboard. But our other circuits have been fairly straightforward, so you haven't had to work a whole lot to make those circuits run. And so this one's a fairly simple one. And just connecting that loop. And like I say, if you look down at the bottom of that, it looks like there's a couple of resistors in there. There may be a couple of other things in there that we're not looking at, and I can't decide if the black piece is actually the noisemaker, or whether it's a capacitor. I don't know what it is. I just don't know. So there's your another one of your toys in your wild card kit. Close the loop, let the electrons flow, get the light and the obnoxious sound. And so I guess if you really want to drive somebody crazy, you will walk around with this thing and drive them crazy. Okay. All right. So there is the third of these videos that I'm making for you. And I have one more. Depending on which order you have watched them, I did the centripetal spinner first. And then I did the balancing bird. And now I've done the energy tube. And I have one toy left, and that is the inverting top. And so I'm going to stop this video and start another one. And I'll have all of these finished, and then you can watch them when you get ready to. Okay. Happy April, and enjoy playing with your toys. See you later.